Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beauty in 5 Minutes. My name's Megan and today we're going to be talking all things brows. Ready, set, go. So let's just do a run through of, let's just say like the top 5 to 6 type of brow products that you will usually see or encounter in your beauty travels. The first type of brow product that is probably one that you're most familiar with is a brow pencil or crayon. So this literally looks like your stock standard pencil. It just draws on really effortlessly, adds definition, fills in sparse areas, but it gives a really natural look. Another type of brow pencil that you can have is like a really small wind up pencil, I guess, but this is a much finer tip. So you can get much more precise and really into little areas. And then the last type of brow product that I would say still falls into that brow pencil category is a brow crayon. They do the exact same thing as a pencil, but they do so with a little bit more of a surface area. The second product that you've probably heard a lot about is a brow pomade. Now this is usually a wax, cream or gel formula that goes in and adds a much more concentrated amount of pigment to the brow. You will have to use a little brush with the pomade generally. It is very creamy, which means that it glides really effortlessly onto the skin and onto the brow hairs. Next, we're going to go on to a brow pen. Now, this is usually like a liquid or watercolor ink that goes in and adds pigment to the brows. This does have a different type of inky watercolor pigment that comes out. We then move on to brow powders. Now these are basically just pigmented powders that fill in sparse areas of the brows. They usually sit underneath the hairs and create a shadow which gives you that nice filled in look. If you have these type of shadows in an eyeshadow palette, you can just use those. They are the exact same product. And the last category is brow gels and mascaras. Now, if you're thinking of a pigmented brow gel, they are basically aiming to add volume and hold to the brow as well as a pigment. A great example of that is the Gimme Brow by Benefit. So this actually goes in to add little fibers for volume. It also has pigment as well as staying power. So if you're the type of person that's on a time crunch or you just want a product that's like a 3-in-1, definitely go for something like that. If you're the type of person that just needs something to help your brows stay in place, your hairs are a little bit unruly, then definitely go for something like 24-Hour Brow Setter by Benefit or Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze. Now, when it comes to choosing the right shade for your brows, always go for your natural hair color or one shade lighter. So now that we've covered off all of the different types of brow products, we're going to cut to me previously and I'm going to do a brow tutorial for you. We're browless once again. Before we jump into the tutorial with products and speaking to that sort of thing, I am just going to introduce you to a technique called the golden ratio. Now, this is not a new concept, but the place where I first heard about it and saw it was from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is not like follow this or your brows are wrong. It is just a simple guide that you can use if you're just really lost with where to start with your brows. Okay, so first we need to line up where our brow should begin. So we're going to start on this little ridge of your nostril. Draw a line from the ridge of your nostril straight up, and then that is where your brow should start, and you can draw a little mark if you want. Next, we're going to map out our arch. You basically draw a line from the tip of your nose through your iris, and where that line extends is where the arch of your brow should be. A line from the tip of our nose through our iris. My arch should be sitting, or I guess the highest point of my brow should be sitting here. Where your brow should end is basically pretend that you're drawing a line from the very edge of your nose to the end of your eye, and you're just going to elongate that line straight through. So my brow should be ending around about there. Now, as you can see, my brows are already pretty full, so I don't do a whole lot to them. But what I do like to do is fill in sparse areas. Firstly, I use my pigment product. This is the Brow Microfiling Pen from Benefit. So the first thing that I like to do is just brush my brow hairs into place. For me, this means brushing them upwards. The brush that I like to use to do this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills 7B brush. So it has your little like spoolie attachment on the end, and then you also get an angled brush, or you also could just buy a disposable spoolie pack from the chemist, but I just find this easier. I like to start with the inner section of my brow, and I first like to map out my bottom baseline. Even if I've accidentally put too much product on my bottom baseline, I can grab my spoolie and I can feather that product up throughout my brows. Whereas if I start from the top, it's kind of harder to feather it downwards throughout the brows. This pen is pretty cool. It actually has 3 little prongs in there that go in and try to mimic, I guess, the effect of a microblading tool or pen that you would usually use. I actually use this on its flat edge first, and I'm just going to go in and fill in that baseline of my brow where I get a little bit sparse. So I just like to use light strokes, and I'm just going to feather that product upwards ever so gently. Now I do just want to soften the inside there so that it doesn't look too blocky. So I'm just going to grab the spoolie again, and I'm just going to disperse that product evenly throughout the brow. I'm just going to take that through, and I'm just filling in the areas where there is hair there, but it's kind of patchy. You can really tell the difference between that one and that one, can't you? Okay, so now moving on to the tail, remembering that my brow is meant to end at the end of that diagonal line that I'm creating from the end of my nose through the end of my eye. So my brows do naturally finish up a little bit shorter. Now, if you've added too much pigment to the point where you're going in with your spoolie, but there's still just too much pigment, you can't get rid of it, you're going to grab a concealer and a little angled brush, something like this. Use this to clean up or carve out any areas that you want. Once you're happy with the shape of your brow and the way that you've filled it in, you want to lock it into place. So I'm going to be using the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. Other brow mascaras, clear ones that I love. There's one from MAC, I think it's called Clear Brow Gel. Anastasia Beverly Hills has a really great clear brow gel. R&Co have a really great clear brow gel. I could go on, the list goes on and on. And that is my finished brow. I'm just going to go ahead and do my other brow now. In terms of the shape of my brows, I do get my brows threaded every 4 to 6 weeks so that I have a nice stencil or guide to work off when I am filling them in. But I do have to say, brows are sisters, not twins. So always keep that in mind. If you have an uneven brow, that is very normal and very common. So that concludes our brow video for today. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you have any questions at all, please just pop them in the comments and we will get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks, guys.